Hi there, I'm Coach Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And today we're going to be talking about what do you need to see to make it work again. Now, we always talk about personal growth and we put a lot of focus on you after a breakup because that's really the thing that you can control is how can you change, how can you grow, what can you learn from this breakup, how can you get more enlightened, how can you improve your mental health, how can you improve your attachment issues, and that's critical. But one of the things that we don't often talk about too much is what your ex is responsible for. Because it takes two people to make a relationship work. Now, when somebody's broken up with you and they haven't talked to you in a while, it's very frustrating to think, well, they have to do this and they have to do that because they're not signing up for anything at this point. However, when they do come back, don't you think there are some responsibilities on them to make the relationship work? Even if you were the partner mostly at fault. Let's just say you did the most wrong in the relationship. You were neglectful or whatever. I still think that there are some things your ex probably can improve on too.
Exactly. And this is why I like to ask this question, because a lot of times we idealize what it would be like to have our ex-partner back without really thinking, okay, are they working on skills to make our relationship better themselves? And what can also happen is that we tend to blame ourselves in relationships and we go to extremes. It was all my fault. And that alleviates your ex-partner as to some of the things that they also could take responsibility for.
Yes.
And so we don't want you to settle for less than what you deserve just because you have a history with somebody and just because you were attached to somebody. We also want to see you have standards even after a breakup.
Yeah, because if you just settle, it's not going to work anyway because you'll just be frustrated or unhappy. It's got to be balanced. Okay, a relationship has to be balanced.
Exactly. And so this is just a list of things that we personally would like to see in an ex-partner for a relationship to work. Now you can ask yourself the same question and your list might look completely different than ours. You might have other prerequisites that you need to see in an ex-partner for things to work based on how your relationship went. So just keep that in mind. And also, if you would like to use this as a little exercise, in your own time, write down a list. What traits do I want my ex-partner to develop? What do I want them to be working on during this time? Because what we find is that the person who has been dumped works really hard, learns about attachment theory, goes to therapy, and puts in all of this investment to make a relationship work. The ex comes back, pretends nothing ever happened, and expects, things to flow smoothly.
That's a big one. Yeah, a lot of exes will come back and act like nothing happened at all, particularly avoidance. Because they don't like to talk about things. Talking about things is difficult, and it means having to think about difficult things. They like things to be nice and easy, nice and simple, no complications. Love should be easy. Love is simple. Unfortunately, it's not. But we really think that is part of a developmental arrest leading to the connection that they had with their caregivers. And once the demands they were put on them in early childhood, now they don't feel loved if they have to give back.
Right.
Okay? So it's important for you to be with a partner that's going to at least accept some responsibility of what happened and not act like, there wasn't a breakup or some big event didn't happen. Yeah, you don't have to catastrophize it.
Right.
But just acknowledging, I know this must have been difficult for you, it was difficult for me, and talking about it.
Right. They have to have that awareness that there was some type of rupture in your relationship.
Yeah.
And we say this because we have seen cases where exes will be in complete denial. What are you talking about? We never broke up.
Or they'll even blame you. They'll be like, but you broke up with me. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
The anxious person will be like, what?
Yeah, so just be wary of these things. The next thing that we would like for your ex to understand is the impact that the breakup has had. As you were saying earlier, showing some of that empathy. This must have been hard for you. And realizing that there is a break in trust when you break up with somebody. That's just a consequence. When you do rekindle things in that relationship, there is going to be a hint of, is this person going to abandon me again?
Yes. Now, it's important that you understand we're not telling you to do this stuff all up front.
Right.
Because you're just going to overwhelm it.
Mhm.
This is something that you kind of gradually want to get into as both people are mutually saying, yes, let's work this out. Let's act like adults here and deal with this.
Right.
Okay?
Exactly. And in the beginning, it might just be that. It might be light, there might be some denial, and your partner might not be ready to work on these things. That's completely up to you when you can gauge when your relationship is at a safe enough point to talk about these things.
Yeah, you just don't want to overwhelm because that will get them running.
Right. You also want them to understand how they dealt with life stresses. As we said before, breakups are normally a result of existing issues in a relationship. So seeing how they generally deal with stress is going to be important. Okay, so this time they decided to end the relationship. Did they feel like they needed to deal with these life stressors on their own? And in the future, how can we increase your level of dependence a little bit so that I can be there to support you as a partner?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's important.
And also understanding why there was a breakup in the first place. Really understanding the reasons. Sometimes we find that a partner will cause a breakup, not necessarily because they really want to separate from their partner, but rather there's these external forces that are causing them to, where they feel like they have to. So really dissecting that. Was it a loss of attraction, or was it that your mom wanted you to marry a certain type of person by a certain age and you felt like this person didn't meet your mother's expectations, for example? So really dissecting all of those reasons as to why the relationship ended in the first place.
It's important to understand, or at least have a decent understanding, right? Accountability is big, okay? If you're still begging your ex and trying to, convince them to give you another chance and manipulate them, they're not likely going to be accountable for what happened. Okay? So only really when you get centered within yourself are you giving them the space to acknowledge what they did wrong too. Because if it's too much power from them, like, I know that I can get you back if I want you, and you're like, please, please give me another chance. Why would somebody in that situation say, but I did this wrong and I did that wrong? They're not going to do it.
Exactly.
Unless there is some hesitation by you and that they have to be accountable. Like you don't have to scrutinize them. Obviously, every situation is different on what happened, but you'd like to see them owning up to their mistakes in a healthy way. That's going to be the most likely way of turning things around. Being able to admit those faults.
Exactly, and that takes a level of humbleness. We do talk quite a bit about an ex's pride. Sometimes they can get in that headspace of, I don't want to go back on my decision and succumb to what feels familiar because I decided to end this relationship and I have to go forth with it, and they can be very stubborn. It takes a degree of humbleness and the ability to say, okay, my decision wasn't the best, or maybe even I regret that decision, or even I felt that we needed a break at the time, and I hope that I can rebuild your trust. It takes a level of putting aside your ego to say, I want to work on this again.
But that's healthy, and that's really what you want in order to have something turned around in a way that, can be something meaningful.
Exactly.
Acting like an adult.
Yeah, you really want to see a level of maturity there from them. And lastly, at least last on our list, your list might be a lot longer and that's okay, but for us, we want to see a commitment to personal growth. Just in the ways that you are committed to making yourself better, making sure that your next relationship, whether it be with your ex or somebody else, is the healthiest it can possibly be, we need them to have that same enthusiasm. And they, first of all, also need to have that desire to have a better relationship than it was. We find that some exes want to go back to that comfort, back to the familiar of what the past relationship was like. But the truth is, if you are making positive changes, that's going to feel different for them. And so if they are also working on themselves, they will react very positively to those changes.
Absolutely. You want things to be working better than they did before, because obviously it didn't work before. You wound up in a breakup. So you need to do things better. You need to communicate better. That's important. Understanding yourself and your needs, and understanding that your own partners have their own needs and they're likely different than yours. So you have to find a way to negotiate that you can both be happy, and that you're not going to get what you need 100% of the time, but neither are they.
Mhm.
And that you can compromise and sacrifice. And the better you can communicate that with each other, the more likely it's going to last.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do find that a lot of times in breakups, people are confused as to why the relationship ended. Their ex never really gave them reasons. Sometimes people are completely blindsided by a breakup where for months and months something was wrong and they didn't know it. And
Yeah.
so that's why we really emphasize that clear communication. We want to see an ex be able to express when they're frustrated, when they're sad, when they're disappointed, be able to use those feeling words so that you can be proactive as far as allowing your partner to be seen and heard and accept that empathy.
Absolutely. All these things are ways that you and your ex can have something healthy again. But you also want to see that they are making changes in order to put you guys in a position to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be honest with yourself on how much growth you're really doing, on how much you're really investing in your personal growth and your mental health. But you also want to be centered enough that you're not just going to take what you can get from somebody.
Mm-hmm. And we've seen both sides of the coin. We've seen relationships that have ended and the ex doesn't work on themselves, and then you end up outgrowing them. You realize, wow, okay, that wasn't really a good match for me in the long term. Then we've also seen situations where in the time that they've been broken up, the ex has been going to therapy, the ex has learned about attachment theory,
Mm-hmm.
and that they're approaching the relationship in a completely different way. So I say that to say that there is hope.
That's right. And allowing your ex the time and the space to get there is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so hopefully you found this one helpful. If you want to get our help personally, you can do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Coach Victoria is available for Skype coaching.
I'm here if you'd like to talk.
Just click on Victoria's name at the top of the website. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.